Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this live webinar that is being organised as part of Humber Apprenticeship Showcase, not Humberside, powered by...
David, I don't quite know what's happening, but we can't hear you. No. I've let Jenny know she's going to have a... Sorry, guys, technical hitches. We'll be back. We'll get it sorted soon. Just bear with us.
There we go. I just leave you in nice anticipation. So basically, as I was saying before I was rudely muted for some unknown reason. Good morning and welcome to this live webinar that's been organised as part of Humber Apprenticeship Showcase, powered by SpringPod. So just a few housekeeping bits before we get started. This talk should be finishing around 11 o'clock this morning. We might just run over ever so slightly. Don't forget to use that Q&A function throughout to get your questions answered by our guests today. They'd love to answer them and they're here to help you, so make the most of the time you have available now. Now, due to the number of questions that we usually have come through, we may not be able to get to every single question. So make sure to use that upvote function that's the little thumbs up next to each of the questions, as we'll be answering the most top voted questions. Really useful for if you see a question that you want answering as well, or a question that was similar to the one that you were going to ask anyway. Now, if you do miss any of this webinar, maybe you need to leave halfway through, something like that, don't worry, we've got you covered, as this session will be recorded and we'll have it available to you within 24 hours. So you can always come back and watch it on demand before Love Island or something like that. Now, in today's webinar, we're going to be talking about Space2bHeard CIC. And to join us to do just that is Michelle, Leanne and Lauren, who all support and oversee the clinical service delivery of cross the contracts held within Space2bHeard. So ladies, take it away.
Thanks, David. Morning, everybody. As David said, we all work at Space2bHeard. My name's Michelle and I'm the clinical director. And we have Leanne and Lauren with us today as well.
Hello.
So Leanne is the business support lead in Space2bHeard, and Lauren is our business administration assistant. Apprentice. Yeah, that's it. Thanks, Leanne. Okay, so Space2bHeard, we are a community interest company, and we provide counselling and psychotherapeutic counselling to people living in Hull and the surrounding areas. As you can see there, our vision is to offer positive mental health provisions for all, and we want to provide innovative therapeutic solutions that are accessible for our community now and into the future. So a little bit about us. We were born out of an organisation called the Ellesmere Centre, which is a centre for psychotherapy and counselling training based on Holderness Road in Hull. And some colleagues initially secured a contract to provide services through Let's Talk. And then we started growing, and we felt that it would be a useful way to deliver the services by setting up a community interest company. So we did that 2 years ago in April. So we've been going just over 2 years. We're still a relatively small organisation. There's 6 of us, I think, in the core team, and then we have a lot of therapists and counsellors that work for us on a self-employed basis. So we currently hold several contracts with Let's Talk, Hull City Council. We have a Remind service, which is for people experiencing long-term conditions. We have Valued Minds, which is a low-cost therapy solution for people. We offer a pathway to private therapists, and we're just dipping our toe in the water of some corporate work as well. So that's a bit about us.
Okay. Hello, my name is Leanne. I am the business support lead. So we currently only have one apprentice working at Space2bHeard at the moment, and that is Lauren, and I am Lauren's line manager. So what can we offer an apprentice? We're a supportive environment to enable growth and development. Like Shell said, we're still only a really small team, so we do work really closely together, and our paths often crosses, the job roles do cross, and we're always accessible to support Lauren, right from the managing director to the service leads to the business support team, which me and Lauren are in. So yeah, lots of support there available for Lauren. So obviously Lauren's always learning new and exciting skills. She will be answering the telephones, she's been using the computer, and we've been looking at what strengths and weaknesses she has brought to the job role. Obviously working with her strengths, but any weaknesses, we can help her there and give her the tools to feel a little bit more confident. So I suppose that goes on to the confidence building, knowledge of the different contracts has enabled her to feel a little bit more confident, maybe when talking on the phone to clients about the different services that are appropriate for them. Currently, Lauren has a Thursday off to complete any college work, but we are really flexible. If she has a tutorial or anything on another day, we're quite open for Lauren to do it on a Monday or Tuesday as well. And we do work closely to look at those college units to see if she's covering what she needs to within work's time. And obviously an insight into the therapeutic world. We do work very closely with all the therapists, all the different contracts. You learn the lingo, you learn the different training that's needed to be a counsellor or transitional analysis. There's lots of different sort of counselling pathways, and it's known what trainings there is available as well. Okay, Lauren, over to you.
Hi, I'm Lauren. So I'm the apprentice at Space2bHeard, and a typical day for me looks like, so I start by answering any inquiries, whether that be telephone or email. Most inquiries that do come through typically are for the services that we provide for. So Hull City Council, Let's Talk, Valued Minds. We do have private referrals that come through, or just inquiries just asking kind of what services we do provide. So with referrals comes inputting data. So I have to put all the relevant information that we receive about referrals or about just the services that need to be like updated onto the spreadsheets, that kind of thing. Needs to be sent out to our clinicians, to our directors. With that is going to and attending meetings, minute taking, and and just working closely with the therapists and the directors, as well as taking the referrals. There's obviously discharges to go with that once our clients have finished their therapy or whatever they need to do. So I'll discharge from Let's Talk, Hull City Council, Valued Minds, all that type of thing. And then I think that's it.
Thanks, Lauren. So just a little bit more about our organisation. It's like I said in the vision statement, it's really important to us that we provide accessible services. That's paramount. Because historically, mental health services are sometimes quite difficult to get access to, really. So we receive referrals from lots of different places: GPs, secondary mental health services. People can self-refer. Managers can refer, because the contract that we hold with Hull City Council is to provide therapeutic counselling to employees. Family can inquire about therapy, and there are lots of other support services. Obviously, the other main referral pathway is through Let's Talk. That's the Let's Talk, for people that don't know, are the primary care mental health provider in Hull. There's a lead organisation called CHCP, City Healthcare Partnership, and there are 10 different counselling services that sit underneath that umbrella. So some are quite specialist, like there's people that work with, like House of Light works with people that have had problems after having children or stillbirth, things like that. So there's lots available across the city, lots of specialist support available. And of course, of which we are one of those providers. We are always looking to grow and develop, which is, we have grown an awful lot in the last 2 years, which is why we needed, first of all, Leanne came on board to help us at the front end of business, and then it got a bit more. So that's why we chose the option of going for an apprentice, and it's working really, really well.
Okay, so the skills required, or what we asked Lauren really to have when she was applying for the job, is to have a mental health awareness. You may have never had any training on mental health, and that's fine, because we can put you on any training courses that's required. But mental health awareness could be just knowing somebody, a family member, a friend, colleague, or even yourselves, may have suffered with any sort of mental health issues. So it's just having an awareness and maybe what that means for people. And Lauren has attended a mental health first aid awareness course. A good knowledge of IT systems. We do work on the computer every single day. Like Lauren said briefly, we're on the Excel, we're uploading all the data onto the spreadsheets, and that is a daily thing that's required. We use Word quite often, typing up the minutes. We often write letters to the clients, maybe to other organisations. So we do use a vast amount we're on the computer a lot, and we also have an actual database for Let's Talk called IAPTIS, and that has all the patient data on that we need to access as the business support team, and we offer support to the therapists to make sure they're using the database correctly, and we're there really for the support for the therapists on there. And we also can do the GP discharge letters from that system as well. So it is knowing a bit of IT. It's great if you do know a bit of IT, and it also helps the rest of the team out as well. Excellent communication skills, we really do need them. We do communicate with lots of different people. Lauren is on the phone every single day. It can be sometimes a really busy day and she's answering lots and lots of phone calls. and obviously you never quite know what the inquiry is going to be, so you need to have that knowledge, and there's good communication skills to pass the relevant information on, but also know really that if you don't understand the question or you're not quite sure what the answer might be to someone's inquiry, it's having that understanding to actually, can I get my colleague or can I get my manager to get back to you, and just taking those details down really. So yeah, excellent communication skills is key really for working at Space2bHeard. Team player, yeah, we're all team players. We're a really good team. Like I say, we're a small team, but we all work really closely together. You know, the managing director's always on hand. Shell's the clinical director. She's always there if anything's needed. And we always are in communication with all the different service leads, from Remind to Valued Minds, and we do sort of regularly meet as well to update each other on anything that's changing or anything that's coming up. So team players key as well. Compassionate and understanding. You do need a lot of compassion. The telephone does ring a lot. It may be someone who's maybe quite distressed. We're not quite sure what you're answering the telephone to. So it is having that understanding that people might be struggling. And it's about obviously having that understanding, but also knowing maybe the direction to point them in to help them out the best you can. But that's about gearing yourself up with the knowledge of the different services that might be appropriate. And if we can't help them, that's fine, but is there anywhere else we can signpost them to? And if Lauren doesn't know the answer, I don't know the answer, then obviously it'll go further up and we can see if anybody else knows any other organisation that might be appropriate to that person. And then timekeeping skills. Lauren works 9 to 5, and that's what is required for the business. You know, the telephone might start ringing before 9 o'clock. She might come in at 9 o'clock and already have 3 missed calls. And quite often you might get phone calls at 5 o'clock, maybe just gone 5 o'clock, especially maybe for Humber Council, where the workers have had a busy day at work and they're ringing maybe on their way out of work as well. So yeah, timekeeping skills. And also so we do sometimes have meetings on an evening. The therapist is really busy during the day, so sometimes to have a full team meeting, we do it on a night time when they've finished with their clients and their appointments. So we'd like them to have that flexibility really, so they're available maybe on an evening as well for any training or sort of any further meetings that we may have. Okay, so career progression. So we'd hope Lauren will develop the skills required to become a permanent member of staff. Lauren's actually coming up to a 6-month probation meeting coming up next week, a review meeting, and we will regularly sort of review that with Lauren. We have regular supervision to make sure that she's supported, and she's obviously gaining all the skills that she requires, and if there's anything we can help her further with, if she needs any further training on anything, that supervision time is the opportunity for me and Lauren to get together, and often Shell will come into the meetings as well just to see how she may be able to support, and obviously equip her then for when the apprenticeship is over, to come and join us as that permanent member of staff. At the moment, Lauren currently does 30 hours, but more contract hours is, if that's something that the apprentice requires, we will look into that. And if that's something that we can do, we can make the apprentice a full-time member of staff. And obviously, once you become a permanent member of staff, hopefully we can give you those extra responsibilities within the team, and you can sort of work your way up the ladder a little bit, and we can help you. If you fancy any extra responsibilities, we can look to see what can pass your way as well, and we can work on all your strengths and what you'll be good at. Right, Shelby.
Yeah, thanks, Leanne. So yeah, what are the benefits to a company to having an apprentice? Well, it's a very cost-effective way of getting another man on board, so to speak. You know, as Lauren is still in training, it's like on-the-job training. It's very, very, it's great to have somebody young and fresh on board, and that you're able to educate in what our organisation needs. And you know, she does come with fresh eyes to things, and she's able to view things a little bit differently to us who we've been here for a while, which is really, really helpful. Like I said, it's really useful to have somebody that you're able to train exactly as you want them to learn, you know, and learn the nuances of our particular organisation. As we grow, we need more people doing the jobs, especially at the front end. You know, there's more and more referrals coming as we get new contracts. You know, that increases everything coming at the front end of the business in the business support team. So having Lauren on board has meant that Leanne has been freed up to do some of the extra responsibilities, which then means that I'm freed up to enable me to do more other different things as we grow and develop as an organisation. So it's a really, really great way of ensuring every member of the team gets a little bit more space to take on different things. Yeah.
Okay, so benefits to an apprentice, like we said, you have the opportunity to work within a smaller company. You know, we're there for each other. We can contact each other if there's anything on a particular service that you maybe need to know about. You can contact that manager for that service. They're quite accessible. Another benefit, regular one-to-one support with line manager. I work with Lauren every day that we're in. We're always there. I'm always there for a chat with us, if there's anything worrying her. But like I say, we do have that supervision. We try and do it monthly, just so I can offer obviously any praise, any achievements, maybe any key points that we need to work on. And it just gives us that time, that opportunity for me and Lauren to express anything that needs doing further. Obviously we like to praise Lauren, what she's done well. If she's been given a job by maybe another member of staff, it's nice for me to know how she's doing, if she's managed to do it, if she needs anything further from me. So there's always that one-to-one support available with the mentor or the line manager. Interesting in diverse workload, it is really interesting. Lauren will tell you that you never know, and no 2 days is the same. Like I've said, when you answer the telephone, you're not quite sure what the other person on the end of the phone will require, if they are upset, if they are struggling with anything. So it is a really interesting a day, you know, especially with the telephone. You don't quite know. It can change on a day-to-day basis. Working with your own community, we're all local ladies, so we do work within our own community, Hull and East Riding. So that gives Lauren the opportunity as well to be working in her own community as well. Flexible college hours, we have touched on that a little bit. So Lauren currently has Thursdays, a full day Thursdays paid to have that time to do any college work that she needs to do, speak to her tutor. But like I say, you know, we're flexible if maybe a tutor was on a Wednesday. Lauren asks us, but that's absolutely fine. She can pop in there in work's time and do that. And obviously we'll be as flexible as we can with Lauren to make sure she has the time to do college work, has obviously the skills she requires for the units that she needs to cover. But we do discuss that supervision as well to make sure the work's appropriate to what she needs to be handing in as well, and it reflects that. Develop new and exciting skills. Well, I'm sure Lauren will tell you, I'm sure she's developed lots of skills. She's only been with us 6 months, but she certainly has grown massively in confidence because her skills have definitely increased, whether that's using the computer more. She's much more IT literate, a lot more confident on the telephone. You know, we work with Lauren closely to make sure she feels confident in answering the telephone. And like I said, I think it's about having the knowledge available on each service to feel confident when you're answering that telephone, that you know the right answer. But obviously, like I say again, but to know if you maybe don't quite know or you're not quite sure, that it's okay to ask for help as well. Okay, so Lauren joined us in January time, I think it was, Lauren, wasn't it? And like I say, she has developed in lots of different areas. We hope she has developed and confidence. Is that right, Lauren?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see that. We can see she's grown as a person as well, confidence-wise. You know, she can answer a lot of the therapist questions now. And I'm very confident when she's answering the telephone that she's giving the correct information. So that's really good for us to be able to, for me to do a bit of sidestep as well and work on other things, knowing that Lauren's feeling quite confident in what her job role is as well. A range of effective communication skills, that's come along as well, because obviously she's answering the phone to lots of different people. She's attending meetings, which often is the full core team, and as most of the therapists will attend there as well. So sometimes there'll be quite a lot of people there, and it's having that confidence to be part of that meeting. And if you've got any updates or you're not quite sure about something, Lauren's developed those communication skills, and hopefully she feels confident enough to do that. We've talked about IT quite a bit as well. Like I say, we work on Excel, we work on Word. We're using the IATA system, which is the Let's Talk system, which can look a little bit complicated to somebody who's never used it before, but she's doing great on that. Minute taking, again, brilliant. That's come along great. She's taking the notes during the meetings, and then afterwards taking the time to type them up and make sure it makes sense. And obviously, if she's happy with that, send it out to me. I usually have a look over, and then we send it out to the rest of the team. Ability to use an initiative, absolutely, yeah. If we're a bit quiet, if the phone's quite quiet, asking other members of staff if there's anything that needs doing. I know quite a lot of people are now coming forward from our team and asking Lauren to do extra jobs for them as well. So that's really helpful, because as the business support team, we are there to support the full Space to be Heard. Obviously, quite often we are behind the scenes, but we are asked to do lots of different things. Quite recently, Lauren's just developed our feedback form. We haven't really had one in the past, just for Space to be Heard. So she's created that herself, an ordered post box, so we can have it anonymously, and she's sort of run with that. So that's great, really. She really is using her own initiative, especially if it's quite quiet, maybe in the office. And works well as part of the business support team. It is just me and Lauren in the business support team at the moment, but we work well together. I hope we do anyway, Lauren, and I'm there to support you, and you feel like you're part of the team. Okay, so that comes to the end of our presentation. If you've got any questions, we will answer them as best as we can.
Well, ladies, thank you so much for your presentation. Absolutely do send those questions into the Q&A box. If you see another question there that you're thinking, oh yeah, that is a pretty good question, make sure to upvote that as well. We'll get that answered. Now, let's be honest here. Healthcare is one of those industries, isn't it, that when you think of apprenticeship, it's one of those that largely isn't accessible, and you ladies have made the healthcare industry so much more accessible. Michelle, you must be pretty proud of being able to offer that opportunity to the likes of Lauren.
Very, very much so. Very much so. Yeah. I think that commission services are fantastic, but there simply isn't enough money. So to develop new opportunities for people, as a KIC, we are here to support our community, and that doesn't just mean our clients, that means our staff as well. We want to create, we're very passionate about creating opportunities for everybody in whatever kind of possibility we can do. So yeah, so it was really exciting when we kind of learned about the apprenticeship scheme and about what we would be able to offer somebody, and hopefully we've been able to offer Lauren a very interesting and dynamic post.
So if you were to bring on someone tomorrow, what would your plan be for that role? Would it be a similar one to Lauren's, or would it be something slightly different? Leanne, let's get your thoughts on this one. What would be that role that you envision will happen?
Sorry, you broke up at the beginning there. What was that?
Oh, I'm having all kinds of microphone problems. I do apologise. So in terms of, let's say we were bringing someone on board tomorrow as an apprentice, what would their role look like? Would it be similar to Lauren's, or would it be slightly different?
Well, I suppose the business support team is probably where we can offer the skills at that apprenticeship level. Obviously, all the therapists have got to have the specialist training. So I suppose for Space to be Heard, that would be the way it is in the business support team. But we're often getting new contracts. So obviously, if we get busier and the demand on the Space to be Heard, on the business support team increases, then we will need to take maybe another admin assistant on board. And obviously, Lauren can move up, and maybe another apprentice would come in place.
And Lauren, I'm keen to hear from you and more about your experience at Space to be Heard. What made you join the organisation in the first place?
Well, so I've got 5 years experience of working in residential care. And when COVID hit, obviously there was a lot of cuts, and I lost my job in the care role. So instead of just kind of going back to care, I kind of thought this maybe is the time for me to get a new career. So I started looking at apprenticeships, and I'm not gonna lie, I did apply for a lot of apprenticeships. At 24, you're just in competition with a lot of school leavers, and it was really hard. And then Space2bHeard came through from the college applications person, and I spoke to my mum, and my mum said that's probably a really good fit, Lauren, with your experience in the care sector already, and also wanting like a career change into business administration. It's a really good fit. So it was kind of just like fate, really. But yeah, so
because you could see the parallels between this role and your previous career for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So definitely it's like links in, but also got scope for me to learn like new skills.
One of the questions that we've had come through already, Lauren, is that what was it that you studied at school originally when you did go into the healthcare industry that now you're moving into this role with Space2bHeard? What was that original stuff that you've studied to head on this direction?
So I've got a level 2 and a level 3 in health and social care, which I studied at school. But I will point out that I did study and I did have a part-time job at the same time, which I think is really like important, because as an apprentice, you're doing exactly the same. You really need to get that balance. That balance is really important, because otherwise you will just get swallowed up in work, and then you'll completely forget about your college work. And at the end of the day, your employer is paying for you to do both. And if you don't put out and do both, they're not getting their money's worth.
So, Michelle, I'm going to pass this back to you once again, because I think Lauren made a really good point there about how being in an apprenticeship beyond school leavers, beyond college leavers, at the age of 24, being able to offer the opportunities to slightly older people like Lauren is a massive step.
Well, it is, and it's a real benefit to us, you know, because Lauren is an apprentice. She's still in training, in effect, but to have somebody come forward with that bit more at life experience and having had a previous career and understanding what the world of work is already like, we found that as a real benefit to us, you know. And so when we knew that we had somebody kind of at the top of the age bracket for apprenticeships, it was a big tick for us. And I think that Lauren's confidence is a big part of that, you know, in her ability to answer the phone and stuff like that, because we do, as Leanne said, we do get such a vast array of inquiries and people in different states of wellness, I suppose. Because Lauren was a little bit older, that's been really, really good for us.
Do you think then that maybe more businesses across all sectors should actually consider hiring older apprentices purely because of the benefits that you mentioned there?
Well, I don't know. I think
Lauren's massively nodding. Nicely done, Lauren.
Yeah, I think that, you know, whilst it's hard, isn't it? Because you don't want to exclude people just because they're of their age if they're younger. Because I know, for example, my husband's got a plumbing business and he takes 16-year-old apprentices quite regularly, and they're great. But I think certainly, I don't know. I think because there was it wasn't just a training role that Lauren was coming into as much as that primarily is what she's getting as an apprentice. You know, we knew we had an opportunity for her to do a lot of like the on-the-job tasks, and so that she was able to stick, you know, quite quickly slip into that has been beneficial all round for her, for her learning, and for us as a business.
I suppose you could hire a younger apprentice fresh out of school and almost mold them in your image, but then also you can bring someone in like Lauren who comes in with almost a step start, really, is already kind of within that industry in some ways, right?
Yeah, exactly that. I think there's pros and cons and benefits either way you look at it.
So I have one question, which I'm going to ask all three of you, because I think you'll all be able to give a different viewpoint, a different perspective, but all the advice would be really beneficial. So I'm going to come to you, Leanne, first with this one. What advice would you give someone who's generally looking to take on an apprenticeship, whatever age they are? What would be your number one port of call, whether it be with Space2bHeard, whether it be with another apprenticeship? What would your advice be to someone in the market for an apprenticeship?
Well, I suppose it would be with whoever your college is with, really, and what links they have got. Because I think for us, we've never taken an apprentice on before, so we probably are quite new to the market for the apprenticeship scheme. But it is smaller companies like us that can also offer lots of benefits to an apprentice. So it's having the links with the college as well. That will help an apprentice, and to see maybe what employers they have links with.
Yeah, maybe go to the careers department and go and speak with them.
Yeah, and we are going to do some careers talk, and we're looking at Wilberforce College and maybe taking a work placement on with them as well. So we are sort of branching out a little bit more, obviously, as we get busy and we get more contracts and maybe a bit more. We've got more work experience to offer somebody.
Real, I'm going to come back to Lauren once again, because I imagine your answer is going to be pretty in-depth for this one, because I'm sure you got lots of nuggets of advice. But what advice would you give someone who's looking for an apprenticeship, whether it be someone leaving school now, or if it be someone like yourself who was made redundant from their job and went down the apprenticeship route?
I would say just apply for everything. Apply for any. Even you've got to kind of be open to other things. You might have in your brain kind of business and administration, but in one sector, say it be just like Space2bHeard. At the end of the day, what you're doing business administration, you're going to come out with that level 3 course. It doesn't matter where you do it. 6 months down the line, you could love that course and your like employment, be it in a plumbing company or whatever. But you do the qualification, and then you've got that advantage to then go on and go into that sector of work that you do want to do it in, whether it be like the NHS or Space2bHeard. I would just apply for everything and just try. At the end of the day, you're in so much competition. People are going to have experience like myself, but then people are going to have other different benefits. So just apply for everything that you can. Get experience, whether it's working in a pub or working in a hair salon, whatever it's like, them customer service skills, you definitely need them in this job. I would, definitely get a Saturday job, anything that you can write on your CV to try and get an apprenticeship, do, because it is hard work. It will pay off.
It's kind of, I suppose, finding those transferable skills, whatever they're from, right?
Yeah, and I do get that. I'm probably not selling this right now, but I just want to make it clear, like, it is hard work, but it is really beneficial. And like I said, I worked for 5 years in the care sector, and I did take a hit with my wages and whatnot. Luckily, my family are very supportive, but I think Leanne will agree and Michelle will agree. I am really passionate now. I'm really passionate about my work. I really enjoy coming to work, and it has been a massive payoff doing this. Like, I'm glad I put all that hard work in to get this job, because it has really benefited me now.
Michelle, you must be beaming with pride when Lauren speaks like that about Space2bHeard. Now, I mean, as a business lady yourself, what would be your advice for someone thinking about taking up an apprenticeship and having that resilience to enter the world of work as well? What would your advice be, Michelle?
So I think Lauren just made a really good point about getting a Saturday job, getting a job, to understand what it means to have to get up, to get somewhere on time, to start to develop that level of professionability that certainly in any world of work, you need that. You need to know how to talk to people, don't you? You know, developing your interpersonal skills, I think, is paramount. I think knowing how to come across, knowing how to be professional, knowing how you need to act in an organisation. You know, we all like a bit of banter, but you need to know when to turn that on and turn it off. And I think that, and this is a toughie given what Lauren said about the amount of jobs you might have to apply for, but certainly as somebody who has interviewed people, you need to have done a little bit of research about the company that you come into. You need to have done a bit of have a look around, know a little bit about the company, and have a bit of a rationale as to why you come into that interview. You know, even if you're applying for loads, you need to impress. You need to impress by having had a good look about what your organisation's about what the business is about, and know why you're particularly interested in that sector.
And Leanne,
can I just add? And do that research, because when you go into that job, obviously sell yourself and come across as really as if you know everything about that company already. But then having that knowledge, you can put so much of that into your college course, which is really beneficial, knowing all of that. Like, I've had 2 assignments now, which is just all about Space2bHeard, and because I did do that bit of research, and I still am doing that research, because obviously, like, on the daily I'm learning new skills about our organisation, that really does come across to my lecturer. Like, I know a lot about this company, and I get distinctions for that. So yeah.
And well, that's really nicely put, actually, Lauren, because I was going to say to you, Leanne, that I imagine it's the same for when you're going for those contracts as a business. That research never leaves you, because you've had to research those new contracts that you gain as a company as well. So those skills that you learn with an apprenticeship at Space2bHeard can stay with you throughout your whole career.
Yeah, so I have to apologise, because for some reason someone just started cutting the grass right outside the window, so you don't hear that. It's just like you don't have to cut in the hedges. So I can't really hear what the question was. Can you just repeat it again?
So we're talking about research for companies. So Michelle and Lauren said about how it's always good to research before you go for an apprenticeship, but I imagine that's the same as well for you when you pick up new contracts, that you have to research these new businesses that you're going to work with. So in a roundabout way, so I am linking it back, in a roundabout way, that research skill that you learn on the apprenticeship will stay with you throughout your career.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah, and it is good to know. Obviously, we work with Hull City Council at the moment, and we're providing the counselling service for their staff. It is good to know, obviously, what sort of different services they have under their umbrella as well. But especially for Lauren, one of the questions for the interview for her was about Space2bHeard, and obviously we was really impressed that she'd done research, she'd looked on the website, she'd sort of learned a little bit about Let's Talk, about the mental health services, and obviously that's stood her in good stead because she got the job. So, and that to us proves that you've gone out your way a little bit, you've researched it, you've sometimes maybe you've seen the different services on our website, and you can talk back to us about them, and even ask any questions about them. If you know, like the value of mind service, can you tell me a little bit more about that? And that for us, when we was on the interview, that impressed us. It was like, oh, so you have done your research, and that was a big tick.
So I'm keen. We've heard a lot from the applicant side of things with apprenticeships. I'm keen to get that business side of things for apprenticeship. What would be, if I was a business and I was thinking about taking on an apprenticeship, maybe within the healthcare sector, maybe within another sector, what would be that number one benefit that you would say it comes from an apprenticeship and bringing that into your team?
So I suppose it's so we can sort of mold that person into how we like it, and use their skills, and a lot of skills are transferable, and bringing that into the team. But obviously working on other skills that maybe need enhancing a little bit, or maybe there's more of your weaknesses and that you've identified yourself and you need a little bit of support with, and we can work with the apprentice and make sure you're feeling a little bit more confident, And obviously there's a life skills and that can keep with you, especially if you've been using the telephone quite a bit. I mean, I know probably Lauren will say that at the beginning, obviously she was a bit nervous about using the telephone, but 6 months down the line, she's probably thinking, I don't know what I'm always worried about. I'm feeling really confident now. So obviously in Lauren's working career, she can take that with her then, with the communication skills that she's learned from us. And it is about gearing yourself with that information on each service. So you're giving the correct information to the clients. But obviously the clients, they're suffering from stress, anxiety, depression. So you don't quite know, obviously, what the client is requiring, and they might not always be getting the message through. But it's also that person may have been trying to call us for 2 weeks and not really had the nerve to do it, and the phone's rang that time and they've managed to do it after maybe 2 weeks of trying, and it's having that friendly person on the other end of the telephone who's offering you that little bit of advice. They may have been passed from pillar to post, and it's trying to make them feel that their call is important, and obviously giving them the right information as well.
So, Michelle, I'm going to pass the same question on to you as someone that set up an apprenticeship scheme with Space2bHeard, but also you mentioned your husband earlier as well with his plumbing business. What would be your number one point that you would say to another business who are maybe considering bringing on an apprenticeship?
Well, again, what Leanne said about having somebody who's new and fresh, so that you can really mold in the way that you works for your business. And as a business, as a young business, it's very, very, very cost effective. It's a very cost effective way of having another member of staff. And equally, like before, because we're a community interest company, it is about giving back. So, we're offering an opportunity to Lauren that, are hard to get. they're hard to find. And so that fits with our ethos as a business as well, to provide solutions to people, whether that is therapy, whether it is work, So, and I think, I don't know about every apprentice, but as well, because Lauren is so enthusiastic, it's really, really beneficial to us as an organisation, just to continue to grow like that. Because as more big jobs come in at the top, like our managing director and myself get busier and busier and busier, and there's stuff that we can't do everything. So, like I said before, we've been able to pass some of that back down to Leanne, because Leanne's been able to pass some down to Lauren. So it just works right across all levels of the business.
So the obvious benefits are there now for the business, but was there ever a time that you were thinking, oh, should we do an apprenticeship, should we not? Because this is, let's be honest, Space2bHeard, the product and the service that you offer can be quite challenging to put an apprentice into that industry. So was there ever a time that you were thinking, oh, like weighing up the options, but then now obviously it's turned out to be an amazing achievement for everyone involved?
Yeah, we definitely thought long and hard about it. Sorry, Leanne, do you want to take this one?
No, I was just going to say, obviously, when we was thinking about taking an apprentice, it was on our mind, wasn't it, about having maybe someone in the older category, because obviously in the mental health side of things and having that, that understanding and the empathy. Sometimes that does come a little bit with your work experience and obviously maybe other jobs. So that was on our mind. But obviously, if anybody younger did apply for the job, obviously if they have the relevant skills, that's fine. But we was thinking that, wasn't Michelle? Like when we was at the interview stage.
Well, like I said earlier, it's a complete different job role from normal apprenticeships that are out there. And I think that's a good thing, that you're allowing such a big challenge for whoever takes on the role, which Lauren did, and whoever takes on future roles with your company, Michelle.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that's the nature of us, as a psychotherapist myself, and, working, all the directors are psychotherapists. That's what we believe in. We believe that people are are up for growth and change and can do things that they maybe don't think they can at first. That's what being a therapist is about. And so that obviously fits with us as an organisation. And we wanted to, we believe in people, basically, and we believe that people can achieve and do whatever they set out to do. So that was kind of underpinning our decision making.
So we're going to focus back on the applicant side of things. And Lauren, I'm going to come to you first with this one. And I suppose, in a way, this is a question that is aimed at your very first kind of entry into the world of work with your previous career and now this. How do you prepare to be so resilient for the world of work? And obviously, you've had a lot of experience in your career already in such a short space of time with so many different avenues and so many different events that have happened. But how do you prepare and how do you build, I suppose, that resiliency at every step?
Just, I think, especially to be more resilient in work, I would work somewhere you want to work, because there's nothing worse than going to work and you just don't want to be there, because it'll just be any little thing, well, you'll just want to leave. So, yeah,
that's a great start for it. I mean, yeah, what would you say in terms of someone who maybe even as well, like Lauren, but even more to an extreme sense, wants to completely change career? Let's say they are working in plumbing and now they do want to come and join you lovely ladies at Space2bHeard. What would your advice be to that person?
Sorry, you'll have to repeat again. The grass cutter's just come up every time he's
He's doing lines. He's doing stripe. So we're talking about resiliency in the world of work, and people may be changing careers. Maybe they've done an apprenticeship before, it didn't quite suit them, so they need to change again. We're asking, how do you become so resilient in a world of work?
Well, I suppose it comes with experience as well. Obviously, I've done several different jobs leading up to this job, and I'm sure I use lots of the skills that I gained from my other employment, and it's obviously comes through and has been transferred into this job as well. Like your communication skills, you know, if you've done a job previous that you need to use them lots, which I did, I think it does come across. And obviously, having Lauren as part of the team as well, and I have line managed before, hopefully that does come across. Yeah, and I do a good job for it.
Nicely fought against the lawnmower there as well. Michelle,
sorry.
Michelle, I'm going to pass it back to you for this one. Hopefully no lawnmowers there. That resiliency, because I mean, this is something which I suppose you are the perfect person to ask from a kind of mental health standpoint in terms of those changing careers, maybe changing apprenticeships as well. Maybe even having that anxiety about taking an apprenticeship in the first place. What would your advice be?
Yeah, so, and I mean, it's natural, isn't it, when you're walking into a new role to have a certain level of anxiety. And I think in terms of developing resilience, I think it's about being honest. You know, if you're struggling with something, about talking to somebody about that, because and certainly that is what we want people to do from a business perspective as well, because we don't want people muddling along getting it wrong. You know, you need to be open and honest, and like, if you can't do something, then talk to us. You know, if you're having a problem with a member of a team, you know, if you haven't quite gelled or you've got an issue, talk to people, talk, just be open and honest. And the other thing is about looking after yourself, you know, taking care of yourself outside the workplace. You know, it's a busy organisation, you know, it can be stressful at times. So, you know, taking the time to have fun with your friends on a weekend or go for a walk with the dog after work or whatever it might be, it's about that element of self-care as well. And, you know, if you are feeling, it is just about being honest. If you're feeling a bit overwhelmed, if you're thinking, oh God, I can't get all my jobs done or whatever, tell somebody.
And actually, sticking on that side of things, if I'm a business watching this because I'm considering doing an apprenticeship, I might have anxiety about bringing an apprentice on board. What would you say to that business? Because maybe I'm thinking, oh, well, you know, I bring an apprenticeship, I start this whole school up, and then I have someone leave within 3 months. What would be your advice to someone who's maybe scared of that happening as a business?
Well, I guess there's always an element of risk when you take on any new member of staff. And I think that it's about trusting your own process. You know, if you get that interview right, you know, Leanne and I spent an awful long time looking at what questions we wanted to know, looking about what qualities we were looking for, you know, and it's about being a bit what's the word? Thinking outside the box. Somebody might not exactly have the exact experience that you want, but when they come, they might be really energetic or enthusiastic, or you can really tell that they've done their research. So yeah, you can't negate risk altogether, but I think as a business, if you are true to what you want from an apprentice and hold on to that, then that's the best possible thing you can do, really.
I think you said it perfectly there. You've got to be true to yourself and true to the apprentice as well, because this isn't just hire an apprentice, they're going to do the work, leave them to it, because then they're going to end up being overwhelmed, like you just said, and you're not being true to them in that sense, because you've got to be proactive. This is a kind of two-way street in some ways with this course, right?
Definitely, because Lauren's here, she's here to do a job function for us, but that is only very much part of the picture. She's here to learn. She's here to learn stuff from college and learn stuff from us. It's a requirement that she gets X amount of time a week to do not on the job training. That might be a training course, or we can be a little bit more creative about that. Something that she's learning to do that isn't like part of her current job role. Like she's going to hopefully start doing a little bit of website development. Sorry, my dog's behind me. A bit of website development. So as she settles into the role, it is a two-way street about working right. Do you feel able to maybe take on another responsibility? What does that look like? What are your interests? We really try and work together to make it a role that works for us, but that is enjoyable as well.
And Leanne, I'm going to pass the same kind of question on to you, because as you mentioned during your presentation, you're in constant communication with Lauren. So having an apprentice for a business is not just here's some work, go and gallivant off with it. It's having that proactive role with them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's just about having a conversation. Are you comfortable with the work that you've been given? Do you feel confident enough to go with it? Do you need anything from me? Do you want to have a go at it, and we'll have a look at it, go through it together? But that's what our supervisions are about as well. We sit down, we have that time to reflect. How the month's got on. Any praise that I can give, any achievements that I'm really, really impressed with that. But here's maybe key points that I'd like you to work on. It's just having that two-way conversation, and we are hopefully we're approachable as a business. All the managers are approachable, and like I say, we're always there if Lauren needs us to have a discussion. If she's struggling, if she wants a bit of praise, I'm like, oh, then great. I'm really impressed with that, and boost the confidence a bit as well. That's what we're here to do. And just like with me, as I'm learning new skills, I'm taking on a little bit of extra roles as well. So I'm looking for that praise from Shell, my line manager, and and that's how we learn and evolve. We're good at maybe I'm feeling like quite confident in this bit, but actually I'm not quite sure what you said here. Can you explain it again? And I have supervision with Shell as well, so I'll use that opportunity as well to discuss my achievements and maybe key areas that I need to work in as well.
So, ladies, we are coming to almost the end of this session, but I do want to get one final thought from each of you, just a really quick sentence. I'm going to come to Michelle first on this one. Sell me an apprenticeship overall, and sell me Space2bHeard. I want to hear the positive and the benefit of an apprenticeship, whether it be from a business or a candidate standpoint, and how great Space2bHeard is, which we know already. But just to have a home once again as we end the session, Michelle.
So I would thoroughly recommend an apprenticeship scheme to businesses out there. It's worked absolutely fantastically for us. Obviously, we got a great candidate, but I do think that the thought we put into it prior, the support systems and structures we've got in place, how Leanne communicates with Lauren has been the key as well, because I think that she knows, I hope that if anything's not working, you can just talk about it. And I think that that's the key. Nothing is ever going to run 100% perfectly, but you need the opportunity to work out what to do differently. And that's what we want to do as a business, offer opportunities, work through difficulties and grow. And Space2bHeard is, of course, one of the fantastic providers of mental health services across the city. There's lots of us about, but yeah, we're a good one.
Leanne, same to you. Apprenticeships and how great Space2bHeard is.
Well, Apprenticeship has been a good option, especially for Lauren, because she's had the on-the-job experience, so she's actually working, but she's obviously gaining all them skills. So obviously you've got a paid job, but you're also getting qualification at the end of the day as well. And you're getting to know, especially because she joined Space2bHeard at a really good, crucial point where we're still a young company, and she's actually learning and developing with us all. You know, we're all growing, the company's growing. So Lauren's coming in at a really good time. And Space2bHeard, yeah, obviously, it's a fab company. We're there to offer that mental health support that people desperately need. You know, mental health is a big thing. So obviously for Space2bHeard, we've taken on an apprentice, and it's given us that option. We needed another member of staff. Maybe what we've been able to afford with us being quite young, a full-time admin assistant. It gives us that option as a young, small company to take on that extra member of staff that we desperately needed in that business support team, because we do everything behind the scenes as well. So it's really, really, you know, helped us out there, you know, the workforce.
So, Lauren, I'm going to come to you for those final thoughts. And I think Leanne touched on something really important there, that you have an apprenticeship with a medium-sized company. It's not some large corporate conglomerate. So actually, the responsibilities you get arguably would be more than being part of a large conglomerate, right?
Sorry, could you just repeat that? It was
That's fine. So I was just saying those final thoughts about why an apprenticeship is so good, and why the apprenticeship with Space2bHeard has been so good, because it's a medium-sized company and you're not lost in the system of some giant conglomerate company.
Yeah, so working for like a smaller organisation, I think is a little bit more beneficial. There is that more one-to-one time. And especially I started in January, so we were going into our third lockdown. So it was hard, it was really hard, and we were working like half from home. So imagine having just knowing nothing and then having to do that at home, like through Teams. Leanne having to show me the basics over Teams, it was really hard. But because obviously it is that bit of a smaller organisation, it was easier. Like, I don't know, like I can't say, it was just, if there was, I'm not saying that we're not busy, because we're busy, we are very busy, but if it was a huge organisation and Leanne's abs were here, there and everywhere, then I don't think I would have had the confidence to kind of say, actually, hang on a second, can you run through that with me again, or what was, because, and also, like a big factor that was, like a big example of that was, working from home, and I didn't answer the phones for about 2.5 months, and then we eventually got into the building, and Leanne was like, right, come on then, answer the phone if you're confident. And because I was thinking in my head, I should be confident, I've got these 5, 6, 7 years, like I worked in books from the age of like 14, 15, of answering phones, I should know what to say, but it did knock my confidence a little bit. And I remember like every phone call, I was like, yeah, what do I say, what do I say? And it was like nearly getting to answer machine by the time I answered it. And then I was like, just everything was just coming out as a blur. But if I didn't have Leanne as like my one-to-one mentor and really hands-on, I think I really would have struggled. And just being a smaller organisation did really help my confidence that way.
Well, ladies, thank you so much for your time today. Michelle, Leanne, Lauren, a great presentation from all three of you. So if you're a business maybe considering taking on an apprenticeship scheme, or an apprentice maybe looking for a business to work with, maybe a business like Space2bHeard could be just for you. Ladies, thank you so much once again. Really appreciate your time, and thank you for joining us as well. We hope you enjoyed the rest of the Humber Apprenticeship Showcase. We'll see you soon.